Welcome back to our web development series. Today we are diving into one of the most powerful tools in web design, that is CSS. CSS, we already learned CSS types of CSS in the last class. So in today's class, we are starting with the CSS selectors. Okay, so CSS selectors are the foundation of CSS. A selector tells the browser exactly which HTML element you want to style. Okay, so just an example, think of a selectors as way to point and say I want to style this element or I want to style all elements of this type. Okay, so it is based on your styling. If you want to select a single element, you are going to select some other selector. So if you want to add a styling for a multiple elements, so you are going to select some other element, some other selector. Okay, so these are all different types of selectors are there, so we will learn one by one. Okay, so first one is the element selector, second one is id selector, third one is class selector, universal selector, grouping selector. All these selectors works based on their different perspective. Okay, so I will explain one by one, so you will understand how these different types of selectors will work with the styling HTML part. Okay, so let us see one by one. So first one is the element selector. Okay, so in CSS, what is element selector? So it is like number one, means element selector. This is the simple selector. We can call it as a simplest selector. So here it targets all elements of a specific type based on their tag name. Okay, or element name. You can call it as a tag name or element name. Even paragraph or h1 or h2 or body or any tag, whatever the tag or element you are choosing. So particular element, it specifies the styling. You can see here the syntax. So whatever the element you are going to style, so that you are choosing here, so that is element. It may be a h1, h2, paragraph or anything. So inside curly braces, you are going to style that element. Okay. So here you can see the example. Here P. P is an element in a HTML. So for that paragraph, we are going to style. Okay. So with this curly braces. So this type of element we are select and style. So this one we call it as an element selector. So this will make all paragraph elements on your page and red, red color, right? So and center aligned. Whatever the text you given in this paragraph, that will centrally aligned. Simple but powerful when you want to consistency across all elements of the same type. So this is about element selector. So next one we'll move on to second one is CSS ID selector. So you should remember whenever you are using ID selector, so you can specify with the hash symbol. So I will explain how to use that. So ID selector means it is considering it as the ID, particular ID. The ID selector uses the hash symbol and it targets a single or unique element with the specific ID attribute. So for particular specific ID, you are using for this styling a particular element. Okay. So here you can see the syntax. So ID name you should give. Instead of element name, you are going to give ID name. So where you are selecting that ID name, that I will tell you. So ID name instead of tag name, so you're writing the ID name with the hash symbol. So inside curly brace, same properties you are going to mention. So here you can see the example hash demo. Hash demo is the ID name. That ID name we refer with an element. So that I will show you in a practical example. So you should add the styling with for this ID, hash symbol and ID name. There you are going to style the element. Okay. So when we are using these IDs, so it should be unique on a page. So if you are going to use a particular element, uniquely identify in your page, if you are having multiple paragraphs, for particular paragraph you are going to do styling. Okay, so if you are having multiple paragraph, for a particular one paragraph you are going to change the style. So that time you are going to choose a particular paragraph with the ID name. So using that ID, you are going to style a particular paragraph. Okay, so that time we use this uniquely identifying element, that is hash symbol, for identifying unique element. Okay, so when you need to style one specific element differently from all others, so that time you are going to use this ID selector. Next one, we'll move on to next one. CSS class selector. Okay, so for same ID, how you used, same way here also we are using class selector with a dot operator. Okay, so here the class selector uses a dot operator and it can target multiple elements that shares the same class attribute. Okay, so here you can see the a syntax. Instead of id name, here you are going to give the class name, so with a dot operator, and same property you are going to style in the same way, whatever you are styling with the element selector and id selector, same way, but here the name of the class will be different with the dot operator you are using. Okay, so unlike IDs, multiple elements can have the same class. Okay, so just I had a last ID selector. I had given an example. If we are having multiple paragraphs, right? So multiple paragraph. If we are going to group 2-3 paragraph combined styling, so that group of combined styling, you are going to use the class. So if you are uniquely identify particular paragraph, uniquely styling for a particular paragraph, then you are going to choose ID. If you are combining multiple paragraphs with the same property, same styling, you are going to give, then it is a group of similar elements you are going to style, means you are going to choose CSS class selector. Okay, so this is extremely useful when you want to apply the same styling to different elements throughout your page. Okay, think of it as a creating a reusable style template. Okay, so example will be like this: just a class name you are going to give, and the background color styling, whatever you want style, you can apply for this one. I will show you an example, practical example, perfectly how you will understand. So next, fourth one is the universal selector. Universal selector, this is the selector uses an asterisk mark. Okay, so it is selecting all elements, whatever you defined in your page. So it is using with the asterisk symbol. So it targets every element. Okay, it targets every element on your web page. So if we use this star, okay, you can see here the syntax. If you use star and just to add the styling properties, it will apply all elements in your page. So here is the example. Just start, put a curly braces, all styling properties. It will apply whatever the elements you defined in a particular page. Okay. So this is commonly used to reset default browser styles. However, be careful. Okay. The universal selector does not work if we are using other selectors that override it. Okay, so if we have used some other selectors, then if you are applying this one, so this one will not work. Okay, only when it will work, only you are using universal selector, then only it will apply. Okay, this you should remember for universal selector. So next we'll move on to the, and that point only I told, universal selector does not work if we are using other selectors. Okay, this is the main important point in a universal selector. So next one is group selector. So the group selector is a group of selector lets you apply the same styles to multiple elements at once by separating them with the commas. Okay, so here you can see the syntax: selector 1, selector 2. Selector means that is elements P1, sorry, H1, P, or body, or something, different paragraphs, image, or list, table, anything. You can take any tags here, multiple tags, and apply the styling property here. So the example will look like this: H1, H2, P, all these elements apply the same. Here we are grouping multiple elements, okay, multiple selectors, and same styling we are applying. So this we call it as a grouping or group selector. So this is huge time saver. So instead of writing the same CSS rules multiple times, so you can group your selectors and style them in a one go, right? So this is all 5 different types of selectors. Okay, so let's see with a simple example for all these 5 types of selectors. Then you will able to understand way of using the 5 different types of selectors in your HTML style. Okay, so let us move on to the practical part and understand these 5 different types of selectors. Okay, okay, let us start with the basic boilerplate code. Okay, so I'll write some 3-4 paragraphs, then you will able to understand. Okay, just I'll write one paragraph instead of paragraph, I'll write H1. Okay, CSS selectors. Okay, so next I'll type h2. There are 5 different types of selectors, right? There are 5 different types of selectors. So I'll take H3 here. First one is, so write it in a paragraph. Okay, just instead of 3, sorry, I'll remove these things. Just we write it in a paragraph. Okay, so in this paragraph, first one is which one? Element selector, right? Element selector. You can take any statements. So not only this one, just for your understanding, I'm taking same. So second one is what? ID selector, right? ID selector. So third one is what? Class selector. Fourth one, universal character. And then fifth one is grouping selector, right? Okay, these are the 5 different types of selectors. Just I'll run this code and show you the output. You can see I already know how the output will look like this. Yes, with the Chrome, I'm running the output. See here, CSS selector, there are 5 different types of selector, 5 different types of selectors with a paragraph, right? So now first we'll apply with selector element selector. Okay, so for element selector, we are going to choose particular element. So we are styling with the internal styling. Okay, internal styling you already know. We write the internal styling or embedded styling inside ed section. Okay, inside styling tag. Here I'm going to write element selector means particular element we are going to select. Just I'll select h1. So h1 element. Keyboard mode color. Which color? Sorry. Color. I'm going to give some dark color will give. Okay, dark. Yes, just refresh. See here, CSS selectors. So I'll give some selector. Just I'll select a body. Okay. There's also element select. Particular element I am selecting here, right? So body, inside body, I'm going to write background color. So this will apply whole screen. Just I'll take the this antique white color. So you can see here antique white color will look like this. Okay. So now we are selected an element selector. Particular element we selected here, apply styling. So that is we call it as the element selector. So next one is which one? ID selector. For ID selector, we have to mention ID. Where we have to mention ID? We are having multiple paragraph, right? So for this multiple paragraph, I am applying for a element ID selector. Okay, ID selector I'm applying. So here ID selector, I'm mentioning ID with a ID name. So what ID name we are giving? ID is equal to just ID1. I'll give ID1. You can give any name. The same name you have to use here. So just I'll use instead of element, I'll use ID1. Okay, ID1 curly brace. I'm going to write styling. Just color colon. I'm writing blue. So just will open ID selector will change. Here you can see it is not applied. Why? We didn't use the symbol, right? So for that one we have to use hash symbol. If we mention ID means we have to use the hash symbol. So now I'll refresh. See, the ID selector will change to blue color. So like this, we are going to select particular unique element in a HTML tags so that we are styling with the ID selector. Okay. So next one is class selector, right? For class selector, we are going to mention some class name. So we'll select group of elements we are using class selector. Okay. So class is equal to class 1. You can take any name. Okay. So here also class is equal to class 1. For class name, we are using dot class 1. Okay. For class 1, we are selecting color, colon, some different color also. Just I'll give green. Just I'll give green color with lastly semicolon. Just refresh. These two elements is applied with the classes. Group of elements we can select. We are using the class. Okay. Now you have understood. Group of same elements. It should be same element. Okay. If it is different element, it may not apply. Okay. It should be same element. Then you are going to choose class. So with the dot operator. If I remove this dot operator, so this will not work. Okay. So we should always write the dot operator with the class element. Okay. So this is CSS class selector. Now you have understood about class selector, right? So now let us move on to the universal selector. So I have told you one condition. So if you are using universal selector, you should not use other selectors because it will not apply to element. Okay. So just I am going to comment these selectors. Okay. Just comment these selectors. Just start with the star. Okay, star curly brace. Just color colon, just blue violet color will take semicolon instead of align items align text align center. Okay, for this one we have to define text align center. See, everything it is applied because we have used a color dark for this one and body we have used instead of these two. So all remaining elements it's applied, right? But okay, so I have told you one condition. So if we used other element selectors, so it will not apply. Okay, here we have used body and h1. So for body and h1 it is applied the same thing. So for universal selectors, remaining elements it is applied. Okay, so now you understood about universal selector, right? So that is universal selector. So next last one is grouping. So just I'll comment this universal selector. Okay, just a refresh, remaining everything is same. So just I'll going to choose grouping element. So grouping I'm going to choose P H2. H2 is in black color, right? So these two elements I'm going to choose color colon. I'm going to choose some different. Okay, this coral color I'm going to take semicolon. So next we'll take a font, different font family. Font family some different. Okay, so this I'm going to choose. Just refresh. The font style is also changed. If you want, we can change some other font style. Colon. Okay, just refresh. So font style is changed, right? So or else if I use different font style, the font style is changed, right? So like this we are going to use different styling elements with the universal selector. So after this semicolon and close the curly braces. Okay, now it is working fine. So this way we are using the CSS selectors. So how much selectors are important? I think now you have understood. So without the CSS selectors, we could not able to manipulate the styling with the different HTML elements in a single page. Okay, so this is all about CSS selectors. I think if you understand, if you are having any doubts with the CSS selectors, you can ask us to practice with these examples, and you try to your own uh, you try to your own examples, create it and add the statements, add the HTML elements, and your own styling you can add with these different types of selectors. You will practice more, then you will be able to understand properly. Okay, so that's it for today's class. We'll meet you in the next class. Till then, happy coding.